Have you ever woken up and thought to yourself, oh my gosh, how did I get here? That is in life, in love, in your finances. Maybe it's across the board. If you are waking up and you're thinking, wow, I'm in such an amazing place, then this probably isn't the right content for you. If, however, you have woken up and you're thinking to yourself, oh my gosh, how have I got here? What have I got myself into? How am I going to get out of it? How can I make things better for myself? Then this is definitely the content for you. I really want to take you on a little bit of a journey to help you gain perspective on why you're where you're at and help start to give you some of the tools that you need in order to get yourself out of there. If this is the first time that you're coming across my content, it is an absolute pleasure to have you here. My name is Gemma Lonsdale and I am a life coach and psychic medium. So I have lots and lots of wisdom from the spirit realm that I have used in my own life and have used in order to help the people that work with me as well. And I want to help you as well. Now, whenever we are having times of challenge, that is whenever we have our biggest moments of reflection. If you can think of it as the universe, God, source, however you want to refer to that higher power, that is their way of holding a mirror up to you. And you're really being asked to consider in those moments, are you on the right path? What is there that isn't working for you and what is there that you should change? You see, we are all guided by our higher selves, and our soul and our hearts often want to take us in a particular direction. But normally society and logic and the constraints that we have managed to put ourselves in when it comes to societal expectations and financial commitments tends to take us off on a different path. So whenever there's a conflict, this can often bring about the dissatisfaction that we experience within our life. Now, it doesn't mean that we only grow in times of challenge, but we will do our most growth in times of challenge. The reason for that is that things usually have to become so challenging for us that we have no other option but to change, or we break down, or the universe is coming and smashing us about in some way in order to try and encourage us to change course and become more aligned with our heart and soul rather than following the logical path or continuing on the path that we're on. So it's not that we have to experience challenge, it's that we are so stubborn and pig-headed that we often have to experience that in order to cause us to change and in order to bring about the epiphanies that we actually really need in order to get us onto the right path. Now, I have experienced a lot of this myself. I have obviously helped a lot of people along their own journeys as well. And I have a particular client who is very young still, to be fair. She actually came to me a number of years ago and she lives with her family. She lives with her grandparent and she has sort of been given the instruction that she can live there as long as she is either studying or working. Now, at the moment, in fact, I don't even think that it was about working. I must rephrase that. I believe that it's that she has to keep studying if she wants to live there. So she's only turned 21. So she's very young in comparison to myself. So she's at the stage where she is trying to explore the world and she doesn't have the means to support herself yet. She doesn't have a supportive network of family, no partner, no parents that she can really lean on. So she leans on this grandmother and she's in a situation in her life where she's not very happy in the work that she's doing. She has a part-time job that she uses to sustain herself financially. You know, she pays her cell phone bill with this. She keeps her car on the road. You know, she keeps herself in beer money for the weekend because she has turned 21 now. And whenever it comes to her studies, she's not feeling fulfilled there either, but she feels like she can't change course because that is the source of her being able to have a roof over her head. And the job that she has taken, she's finding it really stressful. She's obviously trying to work a lot in order to have some money to support herself. So she's in a bit of a situation where she's on the wrong path. And she has known that she's on the wrong path for a long time. The challenge has been for her that she hasn't known how to change it. So she's just continued to brush it under the carpet and thought, well, I can just ignore it. I can just continue forward. Because she is on the wrong path, the discontent is growing louder and louder as she's going down. And it's really not, it's not a positive situation to be in. Now, whenever we break it down, and you may experience something similar to this yourself, but in these situations, for her specifically, she's living by someone else's rules. Now, whenever we live by someone else's rules and we're trying to appease other people, or we're trying to change who we are in order to be accepted or in order to toe the line, so to speak, that is going to bring about discontent. And it may not be a lot of discontent in some situations, but over a prolonged period, typically what we see is our discontent will grow whenever we keep trying to fit ourselves into the situations that we shouldn't be in the first place. Whenever it's not aligned to our heart and soul, that is where the discontent will really start to come up, whenever we're trying to shape ourselves to fit. So in this situation, she's appeasing other people. I absolutely know that there will be times in your life, either that you've experienced in the past or things that you're going through at the moment, where again, you are actually ignoring what you want, probably repressing what you want. Perhaps you don't even know what it is that you want, but you are fitting yourself in order to fit into the environment. This happens a lot within corporate working careers, because we have rules and regulations and things that we need to do in order to be accepted in that environment. And by accepted, I mean not just to be accepted by your peers, but I mean in order to keep your job. You feel like you have to be a certain person or to do a certain thing and to go against the grain because you need money. We think to ourselves, well, have our mortgage, we have the rent to pay, we have the car payment. All of these things we need money to live. We live in a material world. So it is just natural for us to really think, well, I have to just keep on going. That is an expectation, I think, in a lot of situations that we do tend to find ourselves in. But the reality is that in those situations, whenever we're trying to appease other people, whenever we're trying to change who we are in order to fit in the environment that we're trying to be in order to, continue our relationships or trying to earn money, that is where the problems really start, because we are selling our souls. That's really, whenever I talk about selling our soul to the devil, that's typically what I experience. We are doing something that goes against our inherent truth in order to fit into the world around us. So we're selling our soul to the devil, so to speak, in order to continue down the path that we're on. And it is a short-term fix for a long-term problem. If you need money to pay your bills, or perhaps you're looking to leave a relationship, but the financial aspect of it is what's stopping you, that is what will prevent you from making the changes. And it starts to get us embedded into materialism, where we're really starting to choose the material life over something that is more soul aligned and more heart led. We can even start to talk to this about whenever we talk about our connection to the divine, whether that is to an angel, whether it's to your connection to the universe, whether it's God's source, you can call it what you want. Whenever we're sacrificing that in order to pay our bills, we are essentially selling our soul to the devil, because we are worshipping the money and this need to live over actually allowing our soul and our heart to take us on the path that it really wants to take us down. If your purpose is calling you, or you're feeling dissatisfied and you're trying to repress it, you can ignore it for a short time, but you'll not be able to ignore it permanently. So that's why it's really important that we start to acknowledge those feelings that come up within ourselves. You don't need to know the how. You don't need to know how all of this is going to go into position. You don't need to have the knowledge of how you're even going to take the first step. You don't need to worry about that now, but trust that there is a higher power at play that will help facilitate these changes should you wish to take that. All we really need to do right now is to just sit back, stop worrying, and start to question, why are you on the path that you're on? Is it because you're pleasing other people? Is it because you need to pay your bills? Is it because, you feel like you have no other option? Just allow yourself to be honest, and it's really uncomfortable to be that honest with ourselves. But whenever we start to allow ourselves to be honest, it really encourages like a healing to happen. So ask yourself the question, what is keeping you here? What is keeping you on this path? What are your drivers for continuing down this road? Is it because you don't want to disrupt the apple cart? You don't want to upset things? You don't want to let other people down? You're embarrassed about the financial aspect of it? What is it that is keeping you there? And remember, I don't want you to worry about changing things right now. But use that as a journal prompt. Take that away, sit with it, reflect. And maybe you're not ready for change. And that's okay. Maybe you are worried about how you will maintain your lifestyle, how you're going to pay your bills. And that's okay as well. But I've been there. It doesn't work. I can testify that there is no long-term strategy in trying to keep your head above water financially whenever your soul and your heart is drowning. What I'd really encourage you to do is to entertain the thought, and I don't care how, fantasized or anything you think this might be, let's entertain the thought that actually you can do whatever it is that you want to do. What is that going to be? Let's just pretend there's a miracle has happened, the money's in the bank, you have the freedom to choose, you don't have the restrictions, you find the confidence from somewhere. What is it that you would actually want to be doing with your time? Because there's not many of us that can actually answer that. Whenever we start to actually understand where it is that we want to be, it's like opening the window to the universe to actually come through and help us. And when I said before, you don't need to have all of the answers. You don't need to know how that first path is going to come about or that first step. All you need to worry about is, where is your heart leading you? Where does your soul want to go? What does it want to be focusing on? How does it want to make a difference? Because your ego is always going to, ego may not be the right word, but I'm going to use the term ego here. Your ego is always going to want the financial aspect of life. It's going to want to keep the house. It's going to want to pay the cell phone. It's going to want to keep the car on the road. It's going to want to take you down the path of the quick fixes and appeasing other people. Whenever we are really starting to understand what our heart is trying to tell us and what our soul is trying to communicate to us, that is where the magic really starts to happen. The heart and soul really want to be of service. It really wants to have long-term satisfaction and fulfillment. The ego is more eager to have the short-term stuff. How are we going to meet our financial obligations this month? How are we going to keep our boss happy to prevent me from getting the sack? It is whenever we really align with our heart and soul that is where we want to think, okay, well, you know what? The bank can wait. The landlord can wait. Or we can sacrifice the house. You know what? We will stick with the short-term discomfort of the not knowing what's going to happen in order to have the long-term satisfaction of where our heart wants us to be. Because your soul and your heart will always take you on a path of being fulfilled long-term. It will take you on a path of being happy, and that might mean sacrificing some of the financial things that you've got in the short term, or the comfort of your life, the things that we have in the material world. But I can guarantee you that whenever you start walking a path that is aligned with your heart and soul, you will experience more abundance than you even know what to do with. It is whenever we are banging our head off a brick wall, trying to maintain our life on the path that is bringing us about so much dissatisfaction, that we will block the abundance coming into our life. You can have everything that you want to have, but you need to be following your heart and soul in order to get that. So what I want you to do is, again, not worry about how you're going to get there. This is just you tapping into that. Tap into that wisdom. Decide, how do you feel about the path that you're on, and where do you want to be going? What is it that your heart is calling you to do? Now, if you're still struggling to figure that out, I want you to take this exercise away. Grab a pen and a piece of paper, and whatever area of your life you're feeling dissatisfied, maybe it's all, start asking yourself, okay, what is the things, and just make a list. What are the things that you're dissatisfied with? What are all of the things that you're not liking about your life at the minute? It might be the commute to work. It might be the relationship that you're in at the moment and how you're sleeping in separate rooms. Whatever it might be, maybe you're arguing every day. What is it about that you don't like? And then I want you to have another column and another list, and I want you to start asking yourself, okay, what about all of the things that I do like? What is it that I love about my life? What is it that I want more of? Where does my enjoyment come from? And why does that bring me enjoyment? Because that is going to help you really start to tap into what you want more of and what you want less of. If you're really struggling still to figure out where you want to go, we may be in a situation where we're creating blocks for ourselves because your mind, your logical mind, is jumping 10 miles ahead. It wants to figure out how it's going to end up on this path, how it can make it all work. And we can start to be thinking, okay, well, I'm not qualified for that. But that's unrealistic to think that I could ever be doing that. I would have to go back to school, and I'm 45 now. All of these different things will come into our head. And I don't want you to think about anything like that. That's why I don't want you to focus on how realistic this is. This could be a complete fantasy for all intents and purposes. This could be a complete fantasy. All I want you to do is to feel into your heart and soul and where it wants to take you. Where does the enjoyment take you? Because whenever you're doing that, that is what's going to help you align with your higher self, and it is going to help you work towards long-term fulfillment. It is you opening a window in order for God, the universe, source, to actually bring you more inspiration and to bring you opportunities that can help you start to walk on this path. So I really hope that has helped you. Sometimes we can feel like it is impossible to get to where we would really like to go, so we decide to settle for where we're at now. And I don't want you to settle. I don't want you to think that it's okay to settle, because you're so deserving of living a really fulfilling life. And I want you to feel empowered that actually the universe is going to catch you if you fall, and you will have a chance to get back up on your feet and to walk the path that you really want to walk. Just allow yourself to bask in the fantasy that this could be a reality for you, and just figure out what it is that you would be doing in this fantasy life, in this thing that maybe you don't think is realistic to come to fruition. And I want you to see the magic happening. Thank you so much for being here. You can also connect with me via TikTok and Instagram, and on Substack as well. I write over there, and you can access my website and see what programs that I'm running that might be right for you if you do want to work with me on a more in-depth level. Now, I do have lots of free content available, especially on my social media. I have my archive podcast, The Happy Psychic, which you can access. It's over 100 episodes. And I also have my new podcast, Ask Gemma, that you can find as well.